Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
Welcome to the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. You know what we don't say anymore? Welcome back, friends.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's time for another episode, a book episode. We're going to be talking about The Unknown Best, Book 1 by Matt Wilkening.
This was a special request from the author.
Yeah, he asked us to read it and review it a criminally long time ago, and I deeply apologize, Matt, but I think this year I'm going to issue a cutoff for reviews at November 1st. If you get it to me after November 1st, you will not get a review.
All bets are off.
All bets are off. You will not get one until February. Sorry. We have children and a lot of very nosy, very involved family. So basically the holidays start November 1st and they don't end until like midway through February when both of our kids' birthdays are over. In fact, sometimes that lasts all of February. It's a thing.
A lot.
It's a lot. It's exhausting every year. But here we are. We read it and I actually really enjoyed it. And I wanted to talk about it. Matt did not get a chance to read it, so he's our audience stand-in today.
Woohoo.
He works a full-time job or whatever. I don't know. I've been trying to get him to quit for years, but he seems to enjoy doing it. And we enjoy eating, so I don't know. I guess we'll just keep doing that.
Priorities.
But I did read it. I read the whole thing and I enjoyed it. And I'm probably going to go on and read. It's actually a trilogy. So there's a book 2 and a book 3, all of which are available on Amazon. I read the ebook. So let me give you a basic idea of the premise. And the main character, Michael Malbon, who is referred to as Mike through most of the book, has a supernatural synesthesia. So he can smell causality. So like whenever, it kind of reminded me of, remember that book we read about the guy who could interpret statistics?
Yes. Can I remember the name of that book?
It was something demon.
The premise, I guess the concept that they referenced in the book was Laplace's demon.
Yeah.
Which is a thought experiment that Laplace, the natural scientist / philosopher, proposed a long time ago about determinism. And like, if you know all of the factors going into something, you can predict the outcome. And so in the book, this guy basically could subconsciously track all the things and predict outcomes of events.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can.
And it started out as like, seizures. Yes, he was having seizures. Okay, so it's kind of like that guy.
Improbable.
That sounds right.
Improbable by Adam Fowler. Kind of like that, where there are no surprises, there are no secrets, there is nothing that he can't figure out because all he has to do is wait and he will smell the right outcome. And there are situations where he can smell nothing, and that is a situation where nothing that he does matters because nothing will change the upcoming events.
Okay.
So it has made him a little bit of a psychopath because there are moments where no matter what he does, it will not change fate. And so he can do whatever he wants and frequently does. And kind of the most confusing part of the book is we don't really get a status quo for Mike. We just get Mike waking up in class one day as a young woman in the future. He wakes up as a girl named Sarah. And she has a couple of friends who are kind of our consistent characters. And they are Mary and Adele. And we actually meet a couple more characters, all of whom are really cool and engaging, especially as we move forward in the book. The beginning is a little bit, and we're going to talk about this after I finish talking about the book. There's a thing that happens in indie books that I've noticed, and that is that the beginning usually feels a little bit rushed. And so I kind of feel like we need to institute a 20% rule for indie novels. I mean, a lot of independent publishers, a lot of people who are publishing their own book independently, they can't afford to drop thousands of dollars on an editor.
And, right. So it doesn't end up as polished.
Right. And were I reading this on a fan fiction website, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest if the opening was rushed. So it's really unfair for me to be like, well, you put it on Amazon, so I'm going to need this to sound like a professionally published book. And sometimes they do. And sometimes they maybe rush the opening a little bit. And that's fine. It's okay. We need to have what did I say the other day? We need to have a bless them, honey, they tried. Like, where did that attitude go? Where did the, okay, I'm going to give you a chance.
A good-natured version of bless them.
Yeah, not the Southern bless them, but the like, I appreciate that you tried, and I'm also going to put effort into this because I think it's going to pay off. And it does, because once we get through that opening 20%, which is largely set up, and we get Mike to where he's actually engaging in the world around him, it gets a lot better. It gets really funny and entertaining. And what he finds out is that in the future, when he takes over this girl's body, which I was fully expecting from the otherwise male tone of this novel for us to have a, ooh, I'm in a girl body section.
Yeah.
We don't. So
whoa. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. I was like, oh, he's going to play with his boobs. Like, I'm just waiting for him to play with his boobs. But he was like, no, where'd my dick go? Oh, well, I had a hard time finding it half the time anyway. He was like, meh, whatever. It's fine. Now I'm a 16-year-old girl, I guess. And I kind of wish we'd spent more time on him. Like, what the shit? How do I get out of this body? But instead he's like, well, this is new. Because he's really, really bored because his entire life is super predictable. And so when something new happens, it's like, okay, I'm here for the newness. Psychopath characters.
Like Duke, or like Worm Emperor Leto is always looking for new surprising things.
Yeah, like, oh, look at that. A thing that I didn't know about. Ooh. Yeah, he's basically prescient. And this is something about which he's still prescient as Sarah. He still has his ability to smell causality, but he's in a new world. So that's entertaining. And there's mechs, also entertaining. In fact, the human race all lives in this one city because the rest of the planet has been taken over by these other two races. And it's fucking StarCraft. It's StarCraft because there's humans.
Oh, Terrans.
Yeah, there's Terrans. Well, they're humans, but there's Terrans. And then there's a bug-like race that has a whole bunch of different variations that all have different tasks and stuff. And some of them are the warrior ones, and some of them just explode, which I'm almost positive there's units in StarCraft, like the Zerg.
The Zerg, yeah.
Have exploding units that run up and just blow up. I remember because you can make two of them every time you have an egg because the Zerg have eggs instead of, anyway, it's a StarCraft reference. If you don't get it, I deeply, deeply feel bad for you. Go find old StarCraft and just play it because it's like the funnest video game ever. And I spent so long on battle.net when I was younger and I don't really want to talk about it anymore. And then there's the highly advanced robot race.
The Protheans?
The Protoss.
Protoss. Yeah, they use all the crystals and shit.
My life for hire. The Protoss. You had to plant a crystal and then they could grow within the crystal. Yeah, so it's basically the Terrans, the Protoss, and the Zerg. And the Protoss are kind of at war with the Zerg, and the Zerg are kind of at war with everybody, and everybody's kind of at war with each other. And the humans have terrible leadership, and I mean, that's part of the joke is if you just have enough people, you can just keep throwing them at the bad guys.
Yeah.
Except there's not a lot of people anymore. And there's a couple really cool characters that he meets once he starts serving in the military because Adele and Mary decide they're going to go serve in the military because they're both genetically engineered humans in some way or shape or form. Mary is genetically engineered to be stronger and faster and just like a soldier. She's genetically engineered to be a soldier. And Adele's genetically engineered to be like pale, unable to put on weight. Like,
What?
she's supposed to be aesthetic, right?
Oh, turbicolic.
I guess. She's supposed to be like, oh, I can be model pretty no matter what. In fact, she can't even eat regular food. She can only eat like nutrient crackers.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
And one of her eyes glows. Read the book. And it's really interesting because through the course of the novel, Mike kind of finds his place as a mech driver, a mech person.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of forget he's a female in a male's body because everybody just starts calling him Mike after a while. Oh, yeah, exactly. See? And we get a couple little breadcrumbs of what might have happened to Sarah and why Mike is there now. But we don't get very many. I'm assuming this gets more important in the next book.
Oh, right. It's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy, yeah. And Mary kind of finds her place. And then she also... I don't want to spoil it because I want you guys to go read it. So just everybody ends up becoming a point of view character. So if you find Mike a little bit exhausting, don't worry. After a while, Mike is one of many point of view characters. That's why I'm saying get through the 20%. He's a fine character, but he's one of those characters, if the whole book was from his point of view, it'd be exhausting because psychopath characters are fun to visit. They are not fun to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's very much a psychopath because he knows these people are his friends. He knows these people are kind of there to be with him and to help him and that he enjoys having them around. But also he literally doesn't care what happens to them because nothing matters. Nothing will change fate, so nothing matters. Yeah. So what I'm saying, I guess, is go get this book. It's available on Amazon. And I think, give indie books 20%. Like, give them 20. There's a lot of them are short. Even if they're not short, 20% isn't that huge of a commitment. Just throw 20% of your own effort into it. And generally, they hit their stride. Because I think I read another indie science fiction book at the same time as I read this one for like a book club. And it was the same. The first 20% was like, I don't know how this is going to go down. And then once we got through the first 20%, it was like, oh, okay. Like we finally gotten through it. And yeah, I'm not sure why that is. It's just, you get excited about getting into your book, about writing the part you actually want to write, but the setup isn't always the fun bit. So of course you rush the setup. That's fine. I need to get you to read more independent novels, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll read this one and then we can
do
have
the
a chat
trilogy.
about the other books too.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun because I think I'd be interested. I want to know how Mike got where he got. I want to know. We get like he finds a note and it mentions like flow, and then we hear something about flow later, but he doesn't connect the two because Mike is an enthusiastic character, but I wouldn't label him as an overly intelligent character. So it's everyone around him that's sort of dragging him through life. I believe Matt described this. He felt it had the same sort of humor as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Not me, Matt.
No,
Other
Matt. Matt, yeah, the author.
This
Matt
happens at work a lot. There are so many Matts.
It's your fault for being named like the number one name in the 80s.
Yes, in 1984, the two most popular names were Matthew and Christopher.
Yeah.
And I am Matthew and my twin brother is Christopher.
It looks like The Unknown Best is all on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can just go check it out right now.
Okay. But everybody at work is like at least 10 years younger than me. So it's not that.
It's their parents' fault. It's not your fault. They should have seen the writing on the wall and changed the name.
Yeah.
Of course, they're all probably like Matthau or Metasher or something.
No. I don't think we've gotten to the unique
the millennial
names.
kids, the kids of millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 95% of whom are Asher. Matt of our generation is Asher of the next generation.
Gen Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gen Z. That and like the in names. Gavin, Lofton, Landon. Just to give 3 random examples. Those are all my niece's previous boyfriends. I didn't mean to bring my niece into this. I am so sorry. Anyway, Matt Wilkening is who I'm talking about, the author of this book, who very graciously has been super patient in waiting for us to read this. So reward his patience. Go check it out and read the whole thing. It was good. And now that I know the other 2 on Kindle Unlimited, I'll check them out and read them too. They're not, if you want to buy them, they're only $4.99. And you're supporting an independent author. So
yeah,
that's the point of this podcast, y'all.
Are they only selling them on Amazon? I guess if it's on Kindle Unlimited is an exclusive thing.
I think it's an exclusive thing. Yeah. If it's on there, you can't sell it somewhere else.
So if you read it on Kindle Unlimited, make sure you at least like thumb through all the pages because
all the way to the end.
Yeah, thumb through to the end, even if you didn't like want to finish it, because the authors get paid based on completion, like how far people have read.
Yeah.
So if you're on your Kindle, make sure you go to the end of the book and synchronize your Kindle, like read percentage, so then he gets paid.
Get paid, y'all. Yeah, go check it out. It's funny. It's light. It's an easy read. If you like StarCraft, you'll like all the races. Eventually, we meet a Protoss. They have a different name. The Protoss. Eventually, we meet one of them.
You're avoiding spoilers.
I am. Yeah. And they're funny and they're not bad. They're like a interesting, funny character. And we find out everybody has a different way that they reproduce. And so we learn more about each different race is this really interestingly developed. I mean, they're not 2-dimensional races. He actually gives them some reason for doing what they're doing. They're not just like human bad, me kill human. It's like, well, here's why I do the things that I do. And, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to go on for too long. But I do want to say, read more independent novels. Matt, I was like, Matt, have you read as many as me? And he was like, no. Would you like to tell them the reason why you feel like I've probably read more independent novels than you, Matthew? Don't smile at me. Say what you said to my face. Say it for the podcast.
Well, romance smut books are... make up a larger percentage of independently published books.
Yeah, that's fair. So I've read a lot of those. I've read a lot of those, yeah. And it's the same thing. Get through the first 20%. I mean, if you bought this book, you would get through the first chapter. Like you would read the first chapter before making a decision.
Historically, I definitely give books like a third of the book. Most of the time, I just finish the book regardless. Even if I wasn't enjoying it that much, I usually finish the book because I like the completion.
Yeah. You like to finish?
I like to finish.
Sorry. It's the smut. I can't help it. It changes your brain chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I just
Not
think
a bad thing.
We as a human race, as a group of people who are connected on a level that we've never previously been connected before. We can't let negativity become the order of the day. We have to fight for that. Like we're all people and we're all trying to create cool shit. And then we're just trying to share that cool shit with people. And just appreciate the work that goes into like that. He wrote a whole book, y'all. Have you written a book? If you have, let us know. We'll probably review it. But he wrote a whole book. You owe him 20%. Just give it a good shot. I mean, again, if like there's a couple of really there's a fan fiction story of Harry Potter called Manacled, which is no kidding longer than some of the longest Harry Potter books. It is a full-ass novel, and people read the whole thing. That doesn't have an editor. That doesn't have spell checking. That doesn't have... And you read it, and you don't criticize it in the way you criticize a published book because it's fan fiction. And I'm not saying that The Unknown Best is fan fiction. I'm just saying don't forget that the people behind the words are still people. And sometimes keeping that in mind helps you go forward with the mindset of like, let me give them a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the prevalence of like book talk and bookstagram and the fact that it is becoming so over commercialized and so monetized, because if you don't think publishers, like major publishing houses, are using book talk and bookstagram to push the narrative of continuously reading only new published books. And then there's people who have like a copy they read and a copy for their shelf because you have to have it bookstagram perfect. And then they buy props to go with the book so you can take a picture of the book. And so it's this huge consumerist juggernaut. And I'm so glad that reading has become something that we cherish as a society again, but you have to be so careful about being bought and sold, about your attention being bought and sold, about your regard being bought and sold. And so if they can feed you the narrative that only these major published novels that are super polished, where the author was able to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on an editor, that those are the only ones worth your time, it's not true. Not necessarily. And, just be aware of that. That's all I'm saying. If you want to be the type of person that only reads published novels, that's fine too. But just know when you're being bought and sold, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I've been seeing so much stuff about Spice World and the Spice Girls. Like, just a ton of memes and videos and nostalgia grabs and all kinds of stuff. In fact, Victoria Beckham was in a Super Bowl commercial with a shirt that was like something like Beckham's wife or whatever. And he was like, weren't you in that group? And she was like, yeah, I was like Paprika. Or it was a joke because she was, I think, Posh Spice. Victoria Beckham.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay,
if you say
honey.
so.
Well, anyway, so like I like to look at those and then track when are we going to put that reboot out, because clearly that's what we're going for.
Right, because the marketing agencies are...
Oh, they use memes.
They are heavily into the meme streams.
Yeah.
And they're using all the memes and social media and like influencers and funny GIFs for marketing purposes.
And which is fine. It's great marketing. It's word of mouth marketing. It's ground level. It's grassroots marketing, which is, it's the only grassroots marketing available anymore. And it's fine. That's not a conspiracy theory. If you look it up, it absolutely happens. But just be aware it happens. So not all hype is organic. Some hype is manufactured. And the more money you have, the more hype you can pay for.
Right.
So sometimes the hype is worth it, and sometimes the hype was just expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go find The Unknown Best by Matt Wilkening. It is on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. You can buy it or check it out and read it, and give him a read because he did a really good job, and I think you would all enjoy it. And I think we're just going to leave it at that.
Until next time. Oh, So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.